everybody. Well, first of all, thank you all for being here today. I'm gonna start talking about Mexico. And before introducing myself, I'm gonna say Mexico exactly as it is written there. It comes from the Nahuatl. Before the Spanish people came, it was pronounced like Mexico, but the sound changed because of the Spanish. So the Nahuatl word Mexico means place of the Mexica, but the ethnonym Mexicatl itself is an unknown etymology. Um, yeah. So the country Mexico did not name its capital after itself, as in Mexico City, the accepted name internationally, but the converse actually applies. Before Spanish times, the capital was formally named Tenochtitlan, but was the seat of the Mexican Empire, which is known as the Aztec Empire. Well, this is myself. My name is Daniela Preciado. I was born in Guadalajara, Jalisco, Mexico, in 1982. I'm 34. I received a bachelor's degree in Spanish language and literature in 2005 at the University of Guadalajara. I have been dedicated to teach literature since then, and also been teaching Spanish and English as a second language at private and public educational institutions for the past 13 years. I am a passionate reader as well as a writer. I am an active member of a creative writing workshop. In this year, actually, I am obtaining a master's degree in comparative literatures with a thesis based on a Steinbeck novel and his focalization through American history and identity. So this is the school I work at. The name is Preparatoria número 4. It's like high school number 4. That belongs to University of Guadalajara. It looks like that, and
you have to click the video over there.
so it's just right there. It's not so far. So okay. Well, as I said before, the capital of the Aztec Empire was in Tenochtitlan, who actually looked like this, and well, people like Aztecs looked exactly like that. They had ceremonies, and you know that Mexico had a lot of settlements of different kind of cultures. We had many cultures, many aboriginal cultures, and indigenous languages that are still spoken in many parts of Mexico. Um, so Nahuatl, meaning land surrounded by water, was the name in Nahuatl given to what is now Mexico during pre-Hispanic times. When the Spanish conquistadors besieged Mexico Tenochtitlan, in 1521, it was almost completely destroyed. Yeah. This is better known like Malinche, was the messenger between the Aztecs and Spanish. So she spoke the language of indigenous people and the Spanish. So okay, there are, there is a lot to say about the conquest and everything that happened during those centuries between I mean, the exchange between indigenous and Spanish, I don't know, cultures. So I just wanted to mention two important things that happened. I mean, two things that were the most important things um, brought by Spanish. One was the interest for precious metals, especially gold and silver, and the other, the necessity or the desire for them to spread their religion in order for them to keep more control and to manipulate people. Um, well, after those centuries, from 1810 to 1821, during 11 years, was the Mexican independence. Was I mean, Mexicans were fighting for independence, and finally, in 1821, they got it. So today, Miguel Hidalgo y Costilla gave the call that insisted Mexicans to throw off the yoke of Spanish oppression, El Grito, in the town of Dolores, Guanajuato, back in 1810. It took 11 years, but Mexico was victorious. So this is how Mexico looked like on that time. It's 18, where is that? The date, well, it was after the independence. So, you know, Mexico was huge. This is the United States, and that the other is Mexico. I mean, the other part of the map. And then, well, we got that unfortunate event that separate and united these two nations, I think, forever. So it was a situation between these two countries, mine and ours, and yours, sorry. In 1846, between 1846 and 1848 was the Mexican-American War, in which we lost the half of our territory. So it was here, and our territory extended over the states of Colorado, California, Utah, Nevada, Texas, and I'm forgetting one. Okay, so by the late 19th century, the U.S. economy was booming and occasionally busting, and investors were looking for new opportunities across Latin America. Relations between the Mexican and U.S. governments had improved significantly by that time as well, thanks in part to the support that Abraham Lincoln and other U.S. leaders had eventually provided Benito Juarez and his compatriots in their battle against French occupation. Another hero of the fight against the French, Porfirio Diaz, seized power from Juarez's successor in 1876 with the financial support of U.S. entrepreneurs from South Texas, after promising them that he would build the railroads connecting Mexico and the United States. The majority of U.S. investments, more than 60%, was concentrated in railroads, while the rest went into enterprises like mining, ranching, farming, and industry. Mining, Mexico's most important source of wealth since colonial times, came to be dominated by U.S. investors. By the early 20th century, U.S. companies controlled almost 75% of the active mining companies in Mexico and about 70% of the country's metallurgy industry. So we got a very strong link between our economies. I mean, we had a very strong relationship since then. And then, well, uh, it is really important this um, this this topic if we are talking about Mexico in the 20th century, because this is the one political party that took power in Mexico during the whole century. It was more than 71, since it was created in 1929, the same year that was the Great Depression in the U.S. So it's kind of a comparative event, very important in those countries. So the name before was, well, in Spanish, is Mexican Revolution Party, that becomes Institutional Revolution Party. And well, it was supposed to be working for people only, but the thing is that this party just worked for specific interests. For oligarchy, it was a very hegemonic party that just controlled monopoly and brought a lot of corruption that it is still in the country. So, okay. According to this researcher, relations between the United States and Mexico have rarely been easy. Ever since the United States invaded its southern neighbor and seized half of its national territory in the 19th century, the two countries have struggled to establish their relationship based on mutual trust and respect. Over the 2 centuries since Mexico's independence, the governments and citizens of both countries have played central roles in shaping each other's political, economic, social, and cultural development. Although this process has involved, even required, a great deal of cooperation, relations between the United States and Mexico have more often been characterized by antagonism, exploitation, and unilateralism. This long history of tensions has contributed to the three greatest challenges that these countries face together today: economic development, immigration, and drug-related violence. But the best part, now talking about my country itself, we have a very rich country. The Tropic of Cancer divides the country of Mexico into northern temperature and southern subtropical zones that can be further divided into deserts, steppes, savannas, and tropical rainforests. Due to a combination of its climate, location, and topography, land forms, Mexico is rich in natural resources. So we have all this: petroleum, natural gas, silver, copper, gold, lead, zinc, timber, and a lot of different kinds of food that we export. So this is Mexico. Some of the cities, the most important cities. We have our cultural heritage. This Tennessee, well, this Teotihuacan, that belonged also to the Aztec Empire. This is the Day of the Dead. Our art, our beautiful beaches. And I just want to make my conclusion. Despite the illusions of a Mexican economic miracle, Mexico is still largely a country where the past is always vividly present. Despite Mexico's aspect of modernization and even excellence, corruption and absence of the rule of law continue to be Mexico's most stubborn challenges. Mexico is not a poor country. that is living in the past. Mexico is a middle-class country with a lot of poor people in it. It's not that people in Mexico can't find jobs. It is that Mexico is a neighbor of a very rich country, and the labor markets for the two countries are progressively moving towards being a single market. Of course, labor tends to move to the higher paying jobs. So just to conclude, there is a saying that is popularly attributed to Porfirio Diaz. This is a very famous saying. Poor Mexico, so far from God and so close to the United States. There is a great deal of truth in the phrase. Proximity to the United States cost Mexico half of its national territory in the 19th century, exposed it to various military and economic incursions in the 20th century, and has mired the country in a bloody drug war in the 21st. But U.S.-Mexican relations have also had their benefits. On multiple occasions throughout the past 2 centuries, the people of the United States and Mexico have demonstrated that they can work together for the betterment of both countries. Both countries rely on each other more than anyone else for stability and prosperity. Moving forward, the question will be whether the United States and Mexico will be able to face their shared challenges, economic development, immigration, and drug violence, by finding cooperative solutions that meet both countries' needs. Mexico will always be so close to the United States, but that need not always be such a bad thing for either country. Just in my conclusion, I think most Mexicans would love to hear our president to say Mexico first, but that will never happen. Thank you so much.